Welcome back to another Jazz game breakdown.
Winning streak.
On the road, we
Look out
won.
now.
Second win on the road. Um, there's really, this is one of those games where you mentioned during the game, like everything for the most part, up until the last 5 minutes, everything went basically as good as it could possibly go.
We dribble off our knee and it ends up in a layup. One of those.
Yeah, Colin Sexton played incredible.
He played at a different energy level than anybody else on the court.
100%. And
Fontecchio's putting together a body of work, right? Sexton's done it for the last couple of games, but you go back a whole handful of games, and the complete body of work Fontecchio's putting together is high-level role player.
Yeah, he gives us, scoring, defense. Like he gives us everything you could possibly ask for.
The speed, the physicality. You even saw in last night's game when Julius Randle tried to post him up and back him down and could not.
Yeah.
He's stout. He has the speed, his shooting, the basics, the fundamentals. His off-ball work is fantastic and good for him, man. Really struggled through last year with an injury and kind of acclimating to the league and new city and new country and language barrier and all that. Good for him. That's great.
He only missed one shot tonight.
7 of 8.
And
5 of 5 from 3.
Yeah.
8 shots, 24 points. 24 points? 25.
Something like that. That's incredible.
8 shots. That's insanely efficient.
Yeah. That he had an incredible night. And so, and like I said, not really, basically Yurtseven was the only one who really had a bad night. Everyone else who touched the court played really well besides Yurtseven.
Right. Other than just kind of letting off the gas down the stretch there, we played at a different level. They were without Jeremy Grant, but they had Anthony Simons back, who had killed the last 3 games.
Shaedon Sharpe, the last 5 games, has been dominant.
Sharpe has been really shooting well. And there's a question I posed to you during the game. Do we look at these last 2 games and this stretch of injuries and illness that kind of forced us into certain lineups and I don't want to use the word unlikely, but rosters, player selections that our coaching staff wouldn't have put out there 100%. If things were ideal.
Yeah. No,
do we look back on these moments and be like, this might have been the part where, I'm not saying we're rounding the corner and all of a sudden playoffs, here we come, but I'm saying that we start to see where we start to establish an identity.
Right.
We start to get some consistency and players know how we play and what we are.
Which my response to that too was weird. Who would have thought a lineup with Chris Dunn, Agbaji, and Taylor Hendricks was a really good defensive lineup? Strange.
That's a given, right? And we saw last night when Markkanen came in, he fit in seamlessly with
perfectly.
Seamlessly with that. Walker Kessler. What if he would have played the whole game? We might have been looking at our first triple-double in
since Carlos Boozer
20
I think
years.
2009 was the last triple-double. Maybe 2010 was the last triple-double for the Utah Jazz. Walker Kessler tonight had 10 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 blocks, and didn't play the entire fourth quarter and didn't play a few minutes at the end of the third. So, he plays normal minutes tonight. He very likely gets a triple-double.
Right. And, he had 4 assists on top of that, too.
4 assists also.
He does move that ball nicely. And the way that he's moving and even, a typical rim-protecting center, even the shots that he doesn't get, or even when he doesn't even have to attempt to block, he deters people from 100%. Actually taking the shot. So that's great to see him rounding back into form. It really kind of proves the point. Not proves the point. I'm looking for the right word here, but it kind of settles the point that Clarkson and John Collins are probably our 2 of the lower end team defenders and drag us down. Olynyk somewhat too. But they have kind of their different skills, but it's something where as they've been out, the team's really solidified around an identity. And for the second night in a row, if we would have played consistently down the stretch, we would have held 2 teams in a row below 100.
100%. 100%.
And it's only happened one time under Will Hardy against the Trailblazers,
Against
as
the
you pointed out
Trailblazers.
during the game. Once again, we would like to play you again next week. But is this the point where this group starts to form an identity, where we start to stop chasing the modern NBA of breaking, unbelievable offensive scoring records and really kind of settle into a strong defensive team that can shoot and space the floor well?
And that's the thing, right? Is these players allow us to very easily, because they move the ball really well together and for the most part are all really good shooters, it also allows us to be a pretty dang good offensive team. I mean, something we talked about during the game that we haven't really talked about here is Agbaji leads the NBA in corner 3-point percentage. Leads the NBA in corner 3-point percentage. Fontecchio's shooting up to like 38% from the 3-point line. Markkanen is a 40% 3-point shooter. Taylor Hendricks can easily be a 40% 3-point shooter.
Once he settles in, I agree.
I would like to see the last 5 games of Colin Sexton, because all of a sudden he's starting to light it up, from 3-point line. And so we have so many players, and all those guys, Markkanen, Agbaji, Chris Dunn, even Taylor Hendricks, Simone Fontecchio, all of those guys move the ball really well together. It's something
their off-ball movement is high. Yeah.
Chris Dunn consistently on off defensive rebounds, if he's playing with Agbaji, looks expecting to see Agbaji streaking down the court. And so getting these guys on the court together allows us to not just be really good defensively, all of a sudden our team gets really good shots offensively. And that's the difference, right? Taylor Horton-Tucker has a really good scoring night tonight. He had a really good scoring night tonight. There's no question.
The best one this season, I think, right?
100%.
Yeah.
The difference is Fontecchio's really good scoring night. His really good scoring night is a lot of other people touch the ball while Fontecchio's scoring. Taylor Horton-Tucker will just go possessions without ever passing the ball.
Did it on 19 shots, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And I think had
23 points, 19 shots.
Had similar points to what Fontecchio had on 8 shots.
Yeah.
So there's a usage and an efficiency there for sure. One thing I wanted to point out is, if we build a team around defense and spacing and shooting and sharing the ball, that type of a team, all of those factors translate into playoff basketball.
Yep, 100%.
The teams that have the fancy pantsy run and gun, break the offensive scoring records, you'll see that when that stuff gets to the playoffs, all of a sudden they're searching for what kind of team they are, because that stuff doesn't translate anymore.
Yeah.
Parts of it do.
It's
not all of it.
It's why the Mavericks haven't been able to make any noise once it starts to really lock down right before the playoffs and playoffs-wise. Because there's no question about their offensive abilities.
Mm-hmm.
There's been no question since Doncic got there, the ability for them to put points on the board. But once it gets actual legit playoff style and then into the playoffs, the Mavericks start to struggle.
Yep, and it's the same thing that happened with the Pacers in the in-season tournament and will happen with them in the playoffs. And they're way up there on the Eastern Conference standings. But that's something that a team that's going to really have to find themselves in different ways once playoff times happen, because that's a team that's built for regular season success.
It's like that is kind of like when you think of the Lob City Clippers, when you think of the old Phoenix Suns, those types of teams that were unbelievably dominant teams.
Utah Jazz,
2 years ago.
The Donovan Mitchell era, yeah.
Yeah, the unbelievably dominant teams during the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
But you hit the playoffs and that physicality changes, and that takes that next step. If you can't truly lock in defensively and you're just relying on being on fire, it's what could be the reason the Suns aren't able to put it together. This team that they put together that is incredibly offensive firepower when they're all playing.
Right.
Can they actually hold together defensively when it comes down to it?
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see, because they are an offensive machine, right? When all their players are in there, for sure. I don't know, the thought of that makes me super excited with the foundation of players that we have on the team and where it's going. It'll be interesting to see, are they just holding out marketing for this game? Is he going to be back for the game at Sacramento? That'll
So,
be a
yeah.
major test.
So he mentioned last night that he did not expect to play tonight, just part of the process of coming back. He had mentioned he did not expect to play a back-to-back. Just strictly part of the process of working back into basketball shape.
I see. And that'll be a great test at Sacramento. We have a rest day there, right?
And all of a sudden, Kessler's starting to play like the guy we had at the end of last year.
Interesting. First game of the season. Sabonis, you could tell he was pretty pissed off about how Kessler had owned him end of last season on a couple of the games and came out and went after him.
Yep.
Actually cranked his elbow. He's the one that injured him on that first game. Yep. It'll be interesting to see this rematch. And
I want to see Kessler come out with some fire in that matchup.
It'll be interesting to see the signs from that game. We don't necessarily have to win it to be positive signs, right? That would be an unbelievable result. But to see us come out and lock in certain ways on defense and really play strong, and it'll be interesting to see just kind of some of the little signs that we can see from that matchup and see, are we actually starting to establish an identity? Is this kind of a turning point for us in our trajectory this year?
Yeah, it's been fun. It's kind of funny, like you said, that legitimately it's almost happened by accident.
Whoopsie.
We were forced to play Hendricks. We were forced to play Agbaji and Chris Dunn. We kind of got the coach kind of got put in a corner of, hey, you got to play these guys, and then they start playing together, and it's like, oh, yeah, meant for that.
Knew it. I knew it.
And there's even an article that came out that talked about in the Salt Lake Tribune about how the front office, they want to build around marketing. Taylor Hendricks, Keontae George, Walker Kessler, and Ochai. Those are all, besides Keontae, all well-rounded, not just good shooters or good points offensively, but great defenders. That's a starting lineup that's freaking legit defensively.
It's very strong defensively, very strong, with our spacing in the court and our shooting.
It allows something like tonight shows Taylor Hendricks' versatility because he played the 3 tonight.
Right. I was just going to bring that up when they had Fontecchio at the 2 for a whole 2 minutes.
Yeah. And so it shows that Markkanen and Taylor Hendricks on the court together really can be interchangeable because Taylor Hendricks has the athleticism and the defensive instincts to play against bigs down low, and now is starting to build the strength. You mentioned yesterday on how much bigger he's already starting to look, and has clearly not lost any athleticism with bulking up with the move he had tonight.
That was
at
nice.
the 11-minute mark.
It was at the 11-minute mark. We made sure to remind ourselves out loud of that one. What a play. And I loved the vicious yell as he went past the guy, and you can see the strength and the size of his hands, as he's one of those dudes that you can see when they dunk, they don't have to cup it. You see, like when Horton-Tucker went up and had his dunk, how he cupped it and the ball came kind of down on his wrist. It's different, kind of like when Vince Carter used to dunk and he'd have the ball on top here completely palmed, and he would that's how Hendricks handles the ball when he goes up. It's a different size of hand.
It was like Scoot Henderson's dunk he had.
Scoot Henderson has the same type of hands.
It's Kawhi Leonard. It allows for a lot more control going to the rim.
You combine that with the strength and the athleticism. Whoo, that's fun.
Yeah, it makes me excited. As certain players start to get healthy, it makes me excited to see a Chris Dunn, a Agbaji, Markkanen, Hendricks, Kessler lineup at some point in the game, depending on rotations like that. That's a fun lineup.
That's a team that'll move and share the ball, and they're like, well, where's the playmaking going to come from? Like, we have to run isolation each play. Come on, man.
Exactly. And that's the thing is Hendricks, Markkanen, Agbaji are all really good off-ball screeners, slashers. Like, they all, Fontecchio is in that mix as well.
He is.
They're really good slashers and willing to do the off-ball stuff to where you don't have to isolate. How many times did Agbaji screen backside for Taylor Hendricks tonight, but then a couple plays later, he ends up getting a wide open layup because the exact same movement,
right?
And understanding that, Taylor Hendricks is the exact same way on the other side. He will set backside screens and stuff like that, and Markkanen has proven his willingness to do that.
That'll be fun, man. So we need to shut the phone off. I'm excited for in a couple of days here, that game. And that's on Saturday night. Yeah, I'm excited for that game.
It is on Saturday night. Saturday night's busy.
That's right.
We're a Denver Broncos fan and a Detroit Lions fan.
For life.
And so
for life, y'all.
He started being a fan this year, don't we?
I'm so surprised we actually have a team.
And so
I've been dabbling in my fandom since Billy Sims, man.
So we'll have that game and the Jazz game Saturday night. It's been fun to watch these last few games. And Taylor Hendricks, like we mentioned, Taylor Hendricks is not. There's no shot at this point he goes back down to the G League. He's playing too good. He's showing too much development.
I was surprised. I thought tonight there was a chance maybe we were going to see Sensabaugh. I didn't look at rosters and stuff beforehand to see if he was traveling or what, but I thought, man, tonight might be the night.
And then everything worked out well for our guys who did touch the court.
Yeah. And Micah Potter was like, no, I got this.
Micah Potter, great G League player.
Man.
But, yeah, Saturday, I want to see Kessler. I want to see, especially with the way that things happened in that first game, I want to see Kessler come out with a little bit of attitude in that game and physically battle Sabonis.
Seems like he's kind of rounding back mentally into where he needs to be. There's no point. There's no question that the first game of the season he was still in kind of questioning himself mode from that Team USA crap hole debacle.
Yeah. Whatever the freak happened there.
Yeah, what the hell went down there, man?
Hopefully he never goes back and plays with that coach or those players.
Yeah, dude. It's I got questions. So it's good to see him rounding back into where he needs to be mentally and being impactful, because he's a good player, and you know that a lot of sports is confidence. You know, a lot of sports is having trust in yourself and having your teammates trust you, and sometimes you can get down, and that's why sometimes really talented players will go in a slump, right?
Yeah.
And it's something they have to work their way out of, and so it's good to see the signs from him lately, and good. I was glad to see him take another 3 tonight. Hadn't seen him try one of those in a while,
and it looked good. I thought it was
like it was in.
Yeah, it looked like it was in, and you want him to take 1, maybe 2, depending if he makes first, right? 1 or 2 of those a game,
right?
You know, and continue to work on that.
Absolutely. So those are some of the signs
to do it.
Absolutely. So we're happy with some of those signs, and I'm interested to see the matchup again as it's coming up, because this is the kind of obstacles and tests that will, you know, steel harden steel, and get him mentally tough to where he needs to be to go along with the great physical tools and athleticism he has.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll see who's playing on Saturday. Been kind of hit and miss. I wonder if Collins will be back with the sickness he's had. I don't know. There's been, you know, some rumors that he may be on the trade block. And so we'll see what happens as the growth of Taylor Hendricks and some of these young players happens. Mm-hmm. But it's finally been fun to watch.
Absolutely. And John Collins has some tools and some offensive abilities that we, you know, really like and are helpful for this team.
100%.
It'll be interesting to see their roles and how it all works back in. So sometimes we question. That's what we get to do, damn it.
Yeah, there's 100%.
Yeah, we can question, because that's what we get to do, because I can.
Exactly. That's what this is for, right? What's what you do as fans. We're supposed to be pissed when it's not going exactly how we want it to go.
And then when it works, you're like, I knew it.
I always knew he would be a good coach.
Yeah.
But we'll see you guys Saturday.